Last week I won almost $5,000 at the lodge.
Sam Queso just comes to our studio and just kills it.
Thank you, brother.
And I might have just lost every penny of it. I'll be completely honest. I did not feel like playing poker on this day.
You know those days where you're just hyped to go play poker? This is not one of those days for me. I almost didn't even drive out here, I'm not gonna lie. I almost just stayed home because it's gloomy and cold and just want to stay home and eat.
But I drove over an hour to play, so I had to play. I even tried to hype myself up before going inside.
Come on, let's go!
It kind of worked, but not really.
Yes. That kind of hurt my head.
I truthfully only went because a bunch of people that I know were playing in the game, so it sounded like a fun game.
What's up, brother? I didn't know you were coming. Chill, bro. Seriously, chill out. Club? Bro, what is... No, wait. I'm not even gonna run that back. Oh my gosh.
I watched the video today, bro.
Chill out, player.
That was until I started getting whacked right off the bat.
I bought it for $2,000. My first hand, I flop top pair and lose over 300 bucks. Then I 3-bet with ace 10 out of the small blind. I river top pair and my opponent has ace jack. So I lose another $300. After playing for 20 whole minutes, I'm down over $600. I lose a few more small pots before picking up pocket queens in the big blind. The +1 opens to 40. The hijack 3-bets to 125. The button cold calls and the small blind just goes all in. Not much of a decision for me here. They obviously have aces and kings. I fold. No, I'm just kidding. I go all in for 915 total. The other players all fold, so we're heads up against the small blind. He has pocket kings. Great. We agree to run it twice, and just watch this.
Queen. Yeah, heart.
Oh my god.
Hey, heart. Straight. So sorry, brother. Just chop it up. Oh my.
Well, you run too good. Yeah, you do. It's disgusting.
Dude, this is dumb.
So we get it in absolutely horrible and end up winning both boards. Now you would think this means I'm about to run absolutely pure. But basically the exact opposite happens. For the next 2 hours, I pick up pocket pair after pocket pair and miss flop after flop. I then proceed to keep losing small pots, so I add on for another $2,000. Now I'm in for 4K.
As soon as I add on, I just start winning every single hand. And then I look down at pocket aces. There's a raise from the cutoff to 75. I 3-bet to 200. The small blind cold calls. The big blind and straddler fold, and the cutoff calls as well. We're going 3 ways to a flop. It's dry as can be. They both check to me, and I c-bet for 225. The small blind calls, and the cutoff folds. Now we're heads up. The turn is a jack of clubs, and my opponent checks again. I'm 90% sure I have the best hand. If I bet here on the turn, I think it's pretty obvious that I have an overpair, but if I check, it may look like I have a hand like ace king or ace queen. I decide to check it back, hoping he'll think I'm weak. The river is the 4 of spades, and my opponent checks for a 3rd time. Based off the way he's played this hand, I think he has a hand like pocket 8s or pocket 9s. The question I'm asking myself is how big of a bet will those hands call? I want him to think I'm bluffing with ace king or ace queen. So I bet close to pot for $900. As soon as my chips cross the line, he slams down a calling chip. I show the aces, and we're good. For the 2nd time today, we're back to being even.
And then it all just goes downhill.
It all starts when I pick up ace queen. I 3-bet pre-flop, completely whiff the flop, but I keep on betting. The turn gives me a gut shot, and I guess that was enough for me to justify a $375 bet. My opponent raises me to $900. I Hollywood for a minute and fold. Then I pick up 7 deuce. Really bad hand, but we're playing the 7 deuce game for $25 a piece. So if you win with 7 deuce, you get an extra $200. Apparently I thought we were playing for $500 a person because not only did I open to 35, but when a really good player 3-bet me, I decided to 4-bet to $400. He calls. The flop is king high. I think that's a great board for my range, so I bet 450. He raises to 1100. The crazy thing is, I considered jamming to win $200. I was gonna risk thousands to win 200 bucks, but thankfully I decided to fold. Unfortunately for us, that was not the last hand. There's one more hand. I was supposed to leave 20 minutes ago, but I didn't. I wanted to get even, and I found a great spot to do just that. I pick up ace king. The +2 opened to $75. This is my chance to get even. I 3-bet to 225. It folds back to the initial raiser, and he calls. The flop is ace high with every single draw imaginable on deck. My opponent checks. I bet 325. He does not call. He raises to $1,100. I have just over 2,000 left in my stack. I think our only options here are to either fold or go all in. On one hand, he could have a set of jacks, or even two pair with ace jack, but on the other hand, there are so many draws he could have on this board. He could have king queen of diamonds, king 10 of diamonds, queen 10 of diamonds, and I guess that's really it. In the moment, I thought there were like 10 other hands he could have, so I go all in, he snap calls, he has a set of jacks, we run it twice, and we lose both boards.
I know if you can film the
I'm out.
Wait, what?
Well, that sucked. Should have just got up and left. Should have just left a freaking hour ago. I don't know. I don't know if I was just forcing it there with ace king in my head. I thought he could have king queen of diamonds, king 10 of diamonds, queen 10 of diamonds. Just feel like he might 4-bet jacks at some frequency pre-flop, so didn't put him on jacks, honestly. When he snapped, I knew he had jacks. Well, no, he could still have king queen of diamonds. He's never folding there. I don't know. I don't hate the jam, but the result wasn't good, obviously, so that sucks. Anyways, down 4K. All we got to do is lock back in. It's not that hard. We'll lock back in next week, and we'll run it back up. Simple as that.
It's been a week since I got absolutely torched for like 4,000. I don't know, it was bad. But when I played last time, I did not feel like playing whatsoever. That's probably why I got smoked. Today, it's a week later, and I'm hyped to go play. Usually, that means I took enough time off and I'm mentally prepared to go on another heater. I'm gonna knock out this workout, and I'll see you guys at the house. Our workout was absolutely phenomenal. I just got to the house and inhaled my lunch, absolutely devoured it. So I'm feeling dialed. Now I just need to figure out where I'm gonna go play poker at. It's 12:30 on a Thursday, so really there's only two options. It's TCH Dallas and TCH Social. I need to figure out which room has a 2-5 game running. So I'm gonna check Poker Atlas. All right, poker rooms, RIP Peaks. Peaks was the absolute nuts. Hate that they closed. All right, here we go. Texas Card House, Dallas. Let's see what we got going. Cash, they have 4-1-2 games running, with a 22-person wait list. No 2-5 games running. Here's a 7-person wait list. How the heck do they have 4-1-2 games running? What do people do for work? All right, let's go TCH Social. TCH Social has 5-1-2 games running, and they have only one, no, wait, that's PLO. They have 3 2-5 games running, so I guess we're going to TCH Social. The only thing that I don't like about Social is that, number one, if you even pull your phone out, I don't care if you're texting, like, hey, are you recording people's faces? I'm like, just checking my phone. That's one downside. The other downside is that people are super sweaty there. Now, I was watching this video this past week, and this poker pro was saying, if you just look confident, people will take you serious. If you're slouched over, looking all sad, people are just gonna bully you, basically. So I'm just gonna go in there and look confident. I don't care what I'm doing. I could be limping. I'll do the little side flick of the chips, look super sweaty. If I'm folding, I'll do the little high flick fold. Whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna look absolutely sweaty and confident. All right, shut your mouth. Let's lock in. Let's go win $50,000. Let's go.
Woo! Come on! Little concern right now. I got here in like 43 minutes. I thought the traffic was gonna, boost us to that 1 hour threshold. Did not happen. It's not looking good, but we're still gonna run hot. Let's go.
I get to TCH at 1:30. The wait list basically doubled. but I get sat within 10 minutes. Now my first table sucked. I actually got dealt really good cards right off the bat. I get dealt queen jack suited on the button. I 3-bet pre-flop, completely whiff the flop, and have to fold to a turn bet. Then I get dealt king jack suited. I 3-bet the same player again, and this time he 4-bet jams for 750. I fold. Now the good thing about TCH is if you don't like your table, you can just get up and move because they have so many games right now.
Am I able to move to that new table?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
The second table just opened up. I'm already down $200 from my first table, and I immediately lose another $100 on my new table. So I top up for another $300. I'm not exaggerating. It took me over a whole hour to finally win a hand, and it was for $40. Things were not looking good. That was until I got involved in a massive double board PLO bomb pot. I have 9973. I flop a pair with a backdoor straight draw on one board and bottom set on the other. The big blind bets 50. I call and so does the cutoff. Everyone else folds. The turn on the first board gives me an open-ended straight draw, and the turn on the other board is another 9, giving us quads. The big blind checks. I know I have one board locked up for sure, so I bet pot for 230. Now the cutoff goes all in for $615, and the big blind calls. I have an easy decision. I go all in for my remaining $1,000. The big blind obviously calls, so we have a side pot between us. We're off to see 2 rivers. The first river gives us a straight. The second river is another ace. If the big blind has quad aces, I'll probably just throw up on the table. Thankfully, he doesn't. I show my hand and he shows pocket kings and mucks. We hit the 1 outer on the bottom board to scoop the entire side pot. The cutoff had the nuts on the other board, so we chop up the main pot. We make over $1,000 of profit that hand. 10 minutes later, I pick up pocket 7s. Open a 15 and get 2 callers. We're going 3 ways to a flop. The first card in the window is a 7. Followed by an 8 and a jack. We have bottom set. The small blind checks. I see bet for $15. The other player folds and it's back on the small blind. He raises to $60. This guy is a tight player. I haven't seen him show any bluffs up to this point. I think he has top pair at worst here. I just call. The turn is the 5 of clubs. The small blind keeps betting. This time for $225. I don't think he's bluffing. I think he most likely has 2 pair. If he had the nut straight, I don't think he'd raise on the flop, so I rule that out. He has $1,500 left in his stack, and I want to get it all in the middle by the river. I raise to $600, and he snap folds. That is not what I expected at all, and I guess my assessment was completely wrong. Things are going great at this second table. I'm up nearly $1,000 on the session, and then they sent the pros to my table.
Traps. They sent the pros to come scoop us.
As soon as Gil sits down, I immediately try to bluff him. It doesn't work.
Ace high, ace high, ace high.
I basically gift him $300, but the very next hand, I get dealt pocket kings. There's an open from the +1 to 15. I 3-bet to 45 and he calls. We're heads up. The flop is 7-4-9 rainbow. My opponent checks. I see bet for $35, and on this unbelievably dry board, my opponent raises to 125. Obviously, I'm not folding. I don't think he's raising with a set on this dry board. I think there's a good chance he has a hand like pocket 10s or pocket jacks. I just call. The turn is the deuce of hearts. My opponent keeps betting. This time for $75? I have no clue what he's representing, but I'm not folding and I don't see much point in raising. I just call again. The river's an ace. Now he checks. I'm 90% sure he has a hand like pocket 10s or pocket jacks. I don't think he'll call a large bet, but I still want to go for some value here on the river. I bet 125. He tanks for almost half a minute and calls. I show the kings and we're good. I'm planning to leave in the next 20 minutes, and we get involved in one last hand before we call it a day. I didn't hit record until the flop. All you need to know is this guy raised pre-flop, and I called with a suspect hand in the straddle. We flop open-ended, and my opponent c-bet for $30. I call. We're immediately rewarded for playing this garbage hand because the turn gives us a straight, but it also puts a flush on the board. I feel like if I check, my opponent's going to check back on this turn more times than not. So I decide to lead out for $100. He calls. The river's a brick. Now the question is, how large of a bet will my opponent call? I'm putting him on a hand like ace-king or king-queen with the heart. He might think I'm bluffing with the ace of hearts if I go huge on this river, but I decide to ensure that we get more value. I bet 175. He thinks about it and calls. I show the straight and we're good.
Thank you, brother.
Well, that went pretty well. This is probably the worst light. Oh my gosh, this lighting sucks. So I'm gonna actually give you guys the results back at the crib.
Before we get to those results, let me address the title of this video, which is how much money can I make playing poker in Texas? The goal is to show you guys what you could potentially make being an amateur poker player in Texas. I play once or twice a week. I'm not a pro. I'm primarily just a content creator, but so far, my results this year are stupid, which I'll get to in a second. First, here are the results from last session. I was in the game for $1,800 total, cashed out for $3,425. That means I won $1,625 in like 3.5 hours of play, which takes the grand total on the year to $20,700, and it hasn't even been 2 months. If I can keep this up, it'll be an amazing year. Now, next episode, I'm doing something a little different. It's still poker related, but it's something I've never ever done before, and I think you guys are really gonna like it. Now, until then, shut your mouth, stay locked in. Peace.